All right. Ambulance, all right. Welcome. Let me just make sure everybody's showing up. Okay. Yep. I see everyone. Drop us a line in the chat. Say hey. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We're super excited to have you all here with us for another Wealthy and Worthy Wednesday.
Yes.
Yay. I got my crew here. So today's theme is going to be pretty simple, but I think it's going to really challenge y'all today, right? So, the topic for today is you're not burned out, you're unsupported. Pause, deep breath, ponder, okay? Ponder, right? I want you to sit with it, okay? Because many of the high achieving women that we work with, right, we kind of see this general trend, right? That they've been taught that when they feel exhausted, overwhelmed, stretched too thin, the immediate answer and often our default is to think, I need to be more disciplined. I need to be a better time manager. I need to get up early. I've been guilty of that one. I need to push harder, right? I need to lean into it, right? But what I want you to consider today is that it may be possible that the problem is actually not your effort. The problem could be your environment. All right. What if you're not tired because you're weak, but you're tired because you're carrying things that were not designed or meant to be carried alone, right? So today, we're going to unpack some of those invisible expectations that seem to exhaust women, the way that resilience sometimes replaces real and practical support, and what actually changes when you stop trying to prove yourself and start choosing better systems and better environments that actually support where you are and where you're trying to go. Okay. So, as with anything that I share, right, it's never about shame or blame. It's about taking an honest look at where you are compared to where you hope to be, right? And then you assess and adjust as we move along, right? Because burnout is not a personal failure, right? Or a character flaw. It is many times a signal that there's something structural, systematic, environmental that's happening. And so I want you all to be taking that in and engaging in this conversation from that perspective. All right. So I'm going to pass it off to our legacy host, Miss Stephanie, and let's jump into the discussion.
Let's do it.
I'm so excited about today's conversation. So I first want to begin today with a little stat that I found online. And according to the CDC, it was found that 33.5% of women have reported loneliness and lack of social or emotional support. So with that data in mind, I want to hear you ladies first. When you hear Dr. Tiana say you're not burned out, you're unsupported, what comes up for you first? And I'll start first with you, Lana.
Hold on one second, Stephanie. I'm hearing really loud echo. So if we're not talking, let's mute our microphones. There we go. Can you say the question one more time, Stephanie? Because I didn't catch it. I'm sorry.
Sure, and I want to go back to the data point too, in case someone missed it. So the CDC found that 33.5% of women reported loneliness and lack of social or emotional support. And so my first question today is, when we hear Dr. Tiana say you're not burned out, you're unsupported, what comes up for you first, Talana, whenever you hear those words?
Okay. This is another loaded question. Stephanie, you come with the loaded questions every time. So what comes up for me is how often I internalize like systemic issues as like personal failure, right? And so typically I respond by, I just got to work harder. So in corporate America, when we were short staffed, it was like, I can do that. I have all these skills. Let me handle it, right? As a single mom, I stressed myself thin because I wore every hat in the house, every hat at work. And, you know, if you've ever been a single mom, you understand I don't even have to go any deeper than that. As a wife supporting someone else's career, when I was a stay-at-home mom, I minimized my own needs greatly because I was supporting everyone else, including my husband and my children. As an entrepreneur, I wore every hat because I started off just totally imbalanced, right? Because I can do it, so why not do it, right? So different seasons in life, but the same pattern. So what I was absorbing was overflow.
Wow.
Like the common denominator for me was over responsibility without delegation or reinforcement. And it causes you just an overall overwhelm. I see a lot of marriages fail because of it. I see people have mental breakdowns because of it. I see people just give up on life because of it. And a lot of times that imbalance is due to the lack of support from your spouses, the lack of support from your family, the lack of support from your friend group. So then the question arises, what do you do with that, right? For me, I have to analyze my friendships, relationships, and I mean every relationship in my life, and really, really be honest about who these people are, what their capacity is, how they show up in my world, and what type of expectation I can have of them realistically, right? And so for a lot of us, we have these unrealistic expectations of individuals in our life and their capabilities. For me, I am balancing that now, right? Trying to understand what is something that I can handle and what is something that needs to be distributed out to other people, right? I also think that sometimes the relationships that we have currently may not be in alignment with the season that we're in, right? So if I need, help business wise, but I have no friends or no type of connections of business minded people, I'm going to feel overwhelmed because I have no outlet. I have no guidance. I have no one that can maybe share experiences with me. And so I think stopping to analyze where you are, pretty much conducting an audit, right? So you could do audits at home, you could do it in the workforce, you could do it in all areas, right? And you build a structure, not just like stamina to be able to do more, right? That means SOPs in businesses, that means systems at home, clear expectations. Like if you're a woman and you're in leadership, clear expectations, being able to delegate work properly. But stop solving problems that belong to a broken system. You have to address the system itself. So like I said, at home as a single mom, I was overwhelmed. I was doing everything. I was cooking, I was cleaning, I was, and the work doesn't stop because husband gets home. A lot of times for a lot of women, they continue to work and the man comes home, puts his feet up, he's chilling for the rest of the night. And here you are, you've been working literally almost 24 hours, right? And so that requires a honest conversation, like with your significant other, right? Where we are, what is required in this season, what I need as a woman to feel balanced. And if they're not willing to meet that, I'm not saying leave your marriage. I'm just saying you may need to find other people that can fulfill those things for you, because otherwise you're going to eventually burn out. And that's personal and business and all areas of your life. And so I know that was a lot.
No, it was so good. And we're getting so many comments in the chat because Kelly Montgomery says we have to be transparent enough to ask for help. Sometimes being unsupported comes because we don't ask for help. It's not a problem to ask for help. And I can relate to that because for me, I think sometimes I feel unsupported because I set expectations that I never communicate to someone else. So I can't expect for someone to live up to my expectation if they never agreed to my said expectation. Jeannie, I want to eventually come to you, but before we do, I want to go to Dr. Tiana, and I want to ask you, Dr. Tiana, how can we gain the strength to actually articulate that we feel unsupported?
Ooh. Ooh. How can we gain the strength? I will tell you, my number one, I think there's a few avenues, but my number one is getting support. Like courage comes, and much of my courage has come being in community with others. So whether that's going to therapy and talking to my therapist one-on-one, whether that's in marriage counseling, right? My husband and I do like a monthly like tune-up, right? Where we just check in, what's happening, what's going on, where are we, right? Whether that's being in a mastermind, which I have been in various communities and coaching communities and masterminds over the years, whether that's at your work, maybe being in an ERG, an employee resource group, right? But maybe it's just your immediate friend circle, right? Like our friend group, right? We check in every Wednesday. Where are we at Wednesdays? We check in on each other. We send a 2-3 minute video clip. This is what's going on. This is where I need help. This is where maybe I'm just having a crappy day, right? We had one of those yesterday, right? And it wasn't Wednesday, but we still, checked in and we're just like, today's a hard day, right? This is what's going on for me. And so I think when we have the courage to witness others and allow others to witness us, we develop great courage. It takes courage to be seen in the fullness of who we are. And so we want to make sure that those communities, you've heard me talk about our own content as a container, right? But ultimately, we're talking about being in safe spaces. And sometimes we don't have those spaces organically. So we have to be courageous in creating those for ourselves and making sure we're placing ourselves intentionally into those type of communities and spaces so that we can be supported. The world is abundant and there are so many people who are ready and available to support you. And oftentimes we get stuck because we expect those people to be our mamas, our daddies, our siblings, our spouses, right? And sometimes that's not the reality of where we are and how they are and how they're able to show up. And so I think it takes first being really honest with ourselves about feeling unsupported and then having the courage to put ourselves in community that allows us to receive the support that we desire and deserve.
Right. And I think you said something that was really key is that sometimes we expect people to be like our moms and our dad, and they're just not in those places, right? So, Jeannie, how do we get to this place of communicating, hey, I feel unsupported, but then the person who you're communicating with comes back and said, well, I am supporting you. So it's like what I feel and what you say you're doing, they're not adding up.
Sure. Yeah.
How do you find the balance there?
Well,
Okay, I'm sorry. I am laughing because, Stephanie, this is a real question that the three of us had on Saturday. Like this is like a real life
very
conversation.
funny.
Me too.
And
Like,
we settled.
I love it so much. Let's go, Jay. Let's go.
It's funny because we settled on so many things. I mean, there's this again, Stephanie coming in with the loaded question.
Coming in hot.
And so I'm going to give you loaded responses. I'm going to give you the layers here, right? We have various symptoms of burnout, right? We have emotional symptoms of burnout. We have physical symptoms of burnout. We have cognitive symptoms of burnout. And then we have behavioral fallout and relational fallout, right? In the context of burnout. And we talked about all of those together. But when you have a situation where you are under the impression that you are communicating your needs well, and you are taking the risk of vulnerability, right? That's what it is when you ask for help. It's risking vulnerability. You are doing so. You feel you have aligned yourself with words and the tactics and the techniques to communicate with someone that you need support, and you need support in a specific kind of way. And you feel you ask for it, and they're saying to you, I am supporting you. I am showing up for you in this incredible way. I am showing up for you in the fullness or to the level that I can show up is essentially what they are saying. They have shown you their capacity. And I think what people want to do and what we often do, and this is part of my conversation that I added to my dear friend's pockets for her to use later, is that oftentimes when that is the case, it is about looking to other spaces, you're looking for someone to have a capacity that they are describing to you they do not have. Someone looks at you and they say, I'm supporting you, I am supporting, and you say, not the way I need you to. And Not the way I need you to. That's, sort of my feelings, right? My emotions. I'm not emotionally held. Not the way I would want you to. Okay, the physical, right? You're not moving in the physical the way I want. I want a specific type of task done, a specific type of way in the cognitive, not the way that I entrusted you to, or the way that I've described to you that I should, or the way that we've had previous understandings and heart to hearts about, right? It's not working. So our behavior has to change. We're looking to a person to have a capacity that they do not have. So we need to seek elsewhere in capacity and find the balance, because there's areas, I believe, where because we're chronically over functioning, right? Because that's how we get into burnout in the first place. It's over functioning. It's carrying a load that is far too heavy for far too long, right? We can carry loads that are heavy sometimes, builds muscle, builds character, builds strength, but carrying those loads for far too long is where we get into burnout, right? We have to create milestones in that capacity that allow for us to have the growth without all of the chronic fatigue, without the frequent headaches, without the worsening muscle tension, without feeling exhausted, loss of motivation, hopelessness, helplessness, cynicism, all of these things. That's what we start to see. And when you're in those mindsets and you're looking to someone who can't carry you, who doesn't have capacity to, we have to first stop taking that personal, and we have to tell ourselves, are we inside of a behavioral pattern where we're seeking out, when we know this isn't a person who can hold us in this way, we're seeking from them what they cannot give.
Mm. And that's really tough in marriage.
Yes.
So, Jeannie, can you expand on that a little bit? Like, in a situation where it's your spouse and that person is the only one you can get this from,
Right.
what advice would you give a husband or a wife in a situation like that?
Yeah, I would give them the advice, and I hear it immediately, and I think you hear it too. It's this idea, they're the only person I can get that from.
Mm.
They are the only person who can provide that specific thing for me. And if they can't somehow provide it, there's something wrong. There's something wrong with the marriage. There's something wrong with their makeup. There's something wrong with maybe my makeup. Maybe I'm not enough, so I'm not pulling it out of them. These are the things I hear from patients all the time. I've done everything. I've showed up for her in every way. It's still not good enough. I'm overdoing now. I feel like I'm constantly looking to her, checking in and seeing what she's doing, and she simply like doesn't respond. It's got to be me. I'm still not. And they want to keep throwing more and more and more at the situation because they're saying, this is where I'm supposed to get this from. That is a lie. That is a lie. You have oftentimes all that you need to do the things that you are meant to carry. People sometimes look for other people because they're like, if I outsource this, if I allow for this person to do this for me, they will lighten my load. And that's great and that's wonderful. But you know what also is great and wonderful? Unburdening your load. Saying, I didn't plan for this well enough. I actually waited till the last minute on this. And I put myself in that situation where now I have to produce in a way that I'm not capable of. And accepting, hey, in this moment, I'm not capable of producing in that way. It's not going to happen, but maybe I can do it for next time. There's something that needs to be, we have this burnout. It happens, like I said, when we're holding too much for too long, meaning you're inside of a situation where you feel you need to produce in a specific kind of way. And maybe the world around you is saying that I might lose my job or consequences might happen. And this is what's going to go on. If I let this go, I'm going to tell you, I am not the therapist you come to when you are saying to me, I want to avoid consequences. When you unburden yourself, when you lighten your load, there will be consequences. When the person that you love, you've looked to them to do something and they're at capacity, they cannot do that thing for you because they're at capacity, mentally, physically, cognitively, whatever it is. They're not going to be able to do it. And you were looking to outsource to them and it didn't work out. It doesn't mean they have failed you. It doesn't mean they are flawed. It doesn't mean they were a bad person. It doesn't mean they are trying to hurt you. It means they are at capacity and they are doing what you should do, which is unload the burden because you've overdone it and you cannot produce. So do not produce and suffer the consequences so that you can understand that I have a tolerance, I have a threshold. And what happens when people understand that is they respect the threshold and they thrive. But when they don't, they burn out. And if you've ever seen a flame burn out, it is a very sad thing.
Okay.
Bit of a rant. I'm sorry.
That's fantastic. That was a wowzers.
Right. That's a lot. It's a lot to process. Yeah.
We're used to push through culture. We are used to push through culture.
Instant and push through.
Right. And we want to extend that to other people as well sometimes. You know, there's a difference between looking for and seeking support, which is wonderful to seek support, but know that you're going to get support to the capacity that the person has. And if you want it specifically done away, ask for it specifically. But if you see that it cannot be done, then they are at capacity. It's not personal. They're not trying to hurt you. They're at capacity, just like you're at capacity. We have to honor that.
Sometimes that's easier said than done, though, Jeannie.
All the time easier said. Listen, I'm gonna go with you. All the time easier said than done. Always. But you say that knowing that the cost is changes in your appetite, digestive issues, sleep problems, getting sick more often and having a weakened immune system. It's confusion. It's issues with your concentration. It's irritability in your family. It's loss of a sense of connectedness. It's issues setting boundary. It's I could keep listen. I will go until I go. You say that and you think that cost is easy? That cost isn't easy. You know how many relationships have been lost to the sacrifice that has led to burnout at the end of the day? No, it's not easy, but pick your hard.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Mic drop.
Let's see. Wait, Stephanie Johnson said it's having a stroke.
Oh, wow.
Say it again, Stephanie. Say it again. Louder for the women in the back, for the Black women in the back.
Yes.
Goosebumps.
Wow. Yeah. Same.
Good.
I mean,
gonna show up.
Yeah. I mean, and going down that vein, Dr. Tiana, that was what I was going to ask you next. How do we as women know when we are, as Jeannie said, chronically overfunctioning?
Oh,
how does that show up for us as women?
mean, all the things that that Jeannie just listed, right? Like a lot of my clients, right, have frequent headaches, colitis, anxiety, unexpected weight gain. They are irritable. They just don't want to be bothered, right? They kind of are a little testy, a little spicy, right? Normally more than they normally are, right? They have attitude. Okay. So, now, this is something that often happens, right? We see the whole trope of the angry Black woman and all the things, right?
Yes.
But I want to offer up a reframe for this because I tell my clients this often, right? That attitude is just despair, right? So if you encounter somebody and they are just full of attitude and just giving you the business, right? Ponder, right? Where is that coming from? Oftentimes, it is a sense of despair about the situation, the circumstances, maybe it's the overwhelm, right, of carrying everything by yourself and feeling like you have to always explain, you know, why you're tired or why you need support. And it's exhausting. And so those things show up way more than you think. I have, I'll tell you one of the ways that I noticed for myself. One of the ways I noticed is when I'm sitting down in my office and I have so many things to do that nothing gets done. Like I'm just kind of there. Maybe checking messages, maybe responding to emails, maybe hopping back and forth from one thing to another, right? But I'm generally a very prescriptive person, right? So I'll look at my calendar at the top of the day. Okay, what do I have going on? And then I'll adjust and assess as I need to, right? But on a day when I'm like not even sure what I'm executing, I'm not clear about what is first priority of the day. That's when I know, I'm operating outside of my baseline. Like I have too much capacity, right? I'm pushed too far past my capacity. And in those moments, I usually just get up from the computer because I'm like, well, I'm not going to get anything done anyway. And if I do, it's not going to be my best. And it's just, to me, a waste of energy. So then it's like, okay, I'm going to go lay down, or I'm going to go sit on the couch and read a book, or, find ways to recharge myself, because that's usually kind of my first sign, is like, I struggle to focus, and I can't really, like, I'm a type of person, like, I like to win. All right. So if I'm sitting down to do the thing, like, it's gonna get done, right? And so if I feel like I'm struggling, or there's some procrastination, this is a really big one. If I find myself procrastinating and like pushing something off, oh, I'll get to it, oh, I'll get to it, oh, I'll get to it, then I know, okay, I'm beyond capacity. I gotta assess and adjust and figure out what I need so that I can get back to that baseline and move forward with whatever it is I need to accomplish.
Wow, I love that. And I even love how you brought up the whole idea of folks often saying, talking about the angry Black woman, right? And like you said, those are very early signs of burnout, because it is what it is. And I think sometimes we overlook it and we start to question ourselves, right? Well, am I angry? And it's just like, no, it's stress. And I think it takes, and we often talk about community, right? And I think sometimes it even takes community of the community of people around you to be able to say, are you good? Are you okay? Where is that coming from?
Right.
And being okay with even checking one another in those moments and bringing that to attention, because sometimes you just don't know, right? And I think you can do that in love for sure. So thank you for even highlighting that. So
we get so used to operating in that realm that it just become a way of life. Right. And so those friends, those people you're connected to are your mirror, like, hello, you're doing a little bit too much. You may need to step back and regroup. If I can say this, I have a comment from a Dr. Rogers, PhD, on my end. And he says, and it really shows up in the health of Black women, from fibroids to high blood pressure to you name it. Right. And so for us, specifically, it is very important, just in general, but for Black women, like, our bodies respond differently sometimes to stress, and we have a lot of things that we're susceptible to over any other, ethnicity or culture. And so we have to be cognitive of that and really understand that burnout equals unhealthy in all senses of the word. Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of that. And so getting that into alignment is very important.
Yeah. And Jeannie, I want to even ask you this question, because for me, I found whenever I'm in a situation where I need to express, I need to feel more support in this area, the first thing that happens to me is my heart starts beating really fast, right? And then beating fast, it's just like, okay, don't say anything, because you want your heart to stop beating fast, right? Whenever we have those moments where our body is going against what we know we need to do in those moments.
Yeah, it's the physiological, just like the emotional, and is such a signal in some ways. It's a signal that, not that there's something that you need to do, but there's something you need to pay attention to. So I would say, you're saying I have heart palpitations, literal heart palpitations, which I'm going to be honest with you. Those are severe signs that when it comes to, like, I'm having a situation of burnout, those are the more severe signs. Things like panic attacks, things like heart palpitations, persistent sadness, depression, things like that. Real issues, huge. These are like, the signal started like this. Hey, hi, I need something, help me, hold on. And then it just gets louder and louder and louder. And that's what you're describing. So my encouragement to you is, first, just listen to that, lean into that, let your heart slow down, take that deep breath, take a minute, get back to baseline. If that takes 5 minutes, if that takes 10 minutes, you're going to lose the 10 minutes. That's the consequence. Lose it. And then when it's done and you've got some composure, then reach out. But you're taking the signal to mean don't. That I don't want to, I got to get myself together. I'm all out of sorts, and people are going to see me. I'm going to be seen out of sorts. That's a lot of Black women. That's a lot of women as a whole. right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be seen in the fullness of what happens to me when I'm losing control and when I'm not able to handle everything. We are so used to executing at such a high capacity. This is us. We execute at such a high capacity constantly for so long that we get used to it and we decide this is the load, this is the threshold, this is what I'm supposed to be able to do. But you aren't. You've been carrying it too long. And when the breakdown starts to happen, where you're having heart palpitations, panic attacks, even feeling just like numb and emotionally disconnected from people around you, these are major symptoms of burnout. And they're telling you, you said you could do this, and maybe there was a time when you could. And maybe there was even a time when that was like totally and completely necessary, but it's not any longer. We no longer have it. And the symptoms are going to get louder, and the signals, like you described, are going to get louder and louder until you take the time to address them. So address them. Talk about it when you have the capacity, when the physiological has passed, because it will pass. Our bodies are fantastic in that way. They must return to homeostasis. When they get activated, they can only activate to a certain point. Then they will come back to a baseline where you can find control and you can reach out. But you must do that. I think I want to say something too, because this is imperative. And we as women, and especially Black women, are very much accustomed to dealing with physiological symptoms. We actually like sort of shrug them off. It's something that we tend to do. We are so used to enduring at such high levels that when we're having physiological breakdown, it almost isn't enough. So I would caution people, especially Black women, to be very specific about symptomatology and very specific in noting the emotional and the cognitive and how they're showing up also behaviorally. So if you are withdrawing, you find yourself not wanting to even answer the phone for social people who you love a lot. If you find yourself withdrawing from your partners, from your friends, if you're, just feeling like you're working excessively and it's leading to deep, sad moods, exhaustion, you don't feel motivated like you used to, take these as your signs rather than a physical breakdown, because it can also take a long time for the physiological to start to manifest. So I do want to just say that.
Wow. No, that is really helpful because, as Black women or women as a whole, we're just all trained just to push through, right? And we know it is not good for us to just push through, but sometimes you feel like I have no other choice but to push through. And I think it's important that you highlight that we need to pay attention to those signs. But ladies, we are coming up on time, but I do want to end with one final question because I know there are so many women and men who are watching today and they're feeling exhausted and they're questioning themselves. What's one truth that you want to leave with folks today whenever they hear this message? And I will start with you, Tiana. One truth.
Okay. That you're not failing, you're just overloaded. If you stop pushing harder and choose better support, then everything is going to shift for you. Just that simple.
Yes, I love it. And what about you, Jeannie?
I would say honor your capacity. Honor it as it is. Be mindful and intuitive about identifying your capacity. And if you find yourself wanting to reach for more, ensure that you're watching the signs as you reach for more.
I love that. And I have nothing. I am absorbing everything today. But there was another Stephanie in the comments. It went away. She led one truth. Yes, she said, I no longer can operate at that level. I have to be honest with myself first. That is the only way I can be successful. Small steps, one day at a time. So
That's
Stephanie
right.
Johnson just spoke for me. So thank you, Stephanie.
We got another big one from Roz. Black women need to shed the idea of being the martyr. Your strength is not tied to how much you can endure.
I love that. I love that.
That's so it's so interesting.
Mine.
I say that to my dad all the time. Just because you can endure does not mean you should.
Yeah. Mine is simple. You are not the sacrifice.
Wow.
You're just not.
You just have to sit with that. You are not the sacrifice.
You're not the sacrifice.
Yeah.
And you're not Jesus. Okay,
Period.
Jesus can save. Okay, like point them to Jesus. If you feel like you need to be the superhero, like you got to know, right? Like you're nobody's God, right? And the minute that you accept that, you allow people to own what they need to own, life gets a lot sweeter.
Absolutely.
I love that.
What a good conversation.
It was, ladies. Thank you so much.
It was so good.
It was so good. I appreciate it. I hope all of you who are listening in on your lunch break, or if you're at work, multitasking, whatever, this is just a sneak peek of what you're going to get in Atlanta of our conversation. So we hope that you all will join us in Atlanta for Wealthy and Worthy Live. But until next time, we will see you all next week. Bye.
See you next week.
Same place, same time.
Thank
Bye.
you.